Most people know William Wallace as a fearless warrior, a giant of a man wielding a massive claymore. But what few realize is that he was a master of disguise, a phantom moving unseen through the shadows. After his daring escape from the Battle of Falkirk, English spies hunted him relentlessly. To evade capture, Wallace adopted various guises, sometimes a simple peasant, other times a traveling bard. This talent for deception, rarely mentioned in history books, speaks volumes about his cunning and resourcefulness. Born in Elderslie, Scotland, likely around the year 1270, William Wallace's early life remains shrouded in mystery. What we do know is that he grew up in a Scotland simmering with discontent. The English king, Edward I, known as Longshanks for his height and ruthless ambition, had set his sights on Scotland, determined to break its independent spirit. Wallace, like many young Scots, witnessed firsthand the injustices inflicted upon his homeland. These early experiences would ignite a fire in his soul, a burning desire for justice and freedom that would shape his destiny. He would rise from obscurity to become a symbol of Scottish resistance, his name whispered in hushed tones, a beacon of hope in dark times. Imagine Scotland in the late 13th century, a land of rugged beauty and ancient traditions, a proud nation, fiercely independent with a people who cherished their freedom above all else. Their rich culture and heritage were woven into the very fabric of their daily lives, from the castles that dotted the landscape to the artifacts that told their history. But this cherished independence was under threat, as dark clouds of conflict loomed on the horizon. Edward I, a formidable king with a lust for power, had already conquered Wales, demonstrating his military prowess and unquenchable ambition. Now he turned his gaze north towards Scotland, seeing it as the next jewel in his crown. His ambition was clear: to crush Scottish resistance and bring the entire island of Britain under his rule, no matter the cost. The Scottish king, Alexander III, had died unexpectedly, leaving his young granddaughter Margaret as heir, a child unprepared for the weight of the crown. Edward saw an opportunity, proposing a marriage between Margaret and his own son, Edward II, a strategic move to bind Scotland to England. This union would effectively make Scotland an English puppet state, stripping it of its sovereignty. The Scottish nobles, wary of Edward's intentions, resisted fiercely, determined to protect their nation's independence. This tension, this struggle for power, set the stage for the tumultuous era of William Wallace, a time of great heroism and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. The year 1296 marked a turning point in the history of Scotland, a year that would be remembered for centuries to come. Edward I, using the pretext of a dispute over Scottish sovereignty, launched a full-scale invasion. His ambitions were clear: to bring Scotland under English rule and expand his dominion. His armies stormed through Scotland, seizing towns and castles, imposing his will on a defiant people. The Scottish resistance was fierce, but the English forces were relentless, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. It was in this crucible of conflict that William Wallace emerged as a leader of extraordinary charisma and military prowess. His name would soon become synonymous with the fight for Scottish independence. In May 1297, Wallace, enraged by the execution of his wife, Marion Braveheart, by English soldiers, led a daring attack on the English garrison at Lanark. This act of vengeance was not just personal, it was a bold statement against English oppression. This act of defiance ignited the flames of rebellion across Scotland. The countryside was soon ablaze with the spirit of resistance, as more and more Scots took up arms against their oppressors. This victory, swift and brutal, sent shockwaves through the English ranks. The English soldiers, unprepared for such fierce resistance, were thrown into disarray. It announced the arrival of a new force on the battlefield, a force fueled by righteous anger and an unyielding love for freedom. The Scots were no longer just defending their land, they were fighting for their very identity. Wallace's tactical brilliance was evident in the Battle of Stirling Bridge in September 1297. His understanding of the terrain and his ability to inspire his men were key to his success. Facing a much larger English army, he lured them onto the narrow Stirling Bridge, using the terrain to his advantage. The English, overconfident and underestimating their opponent, fell into his trap. The result was a resounding victory for the Scots, a testament to Wallace's strategic thinking and the courage of his men. The battlefield was littered with the fallen, a stark reminder of the cost of freedom. This victory shocked England and cemented Wallace's reputation as a formidable military leader. News of the defeat spread quickly, shaking the confidence of the English and bolstering the resolve of the Scots. He was knighted and appointed Guardian of Scotland, charged with defending his nation against English aggression. Wallace's rise from obscurity to national hero was complete, but the struggle for Scotland's freedom was far from over. Victory, however, proved fleeting. In July 1298, at the Battle of Falkirk, Edward I, seeking revenge, returned with a vengeance. This time, the English, better prepared and equipped, outmaneuvered Wallace's forces. The Scottish army, lacking the discipline and heavy cavalry of their opponents, suffered a crushing defeat. This defeat shattered Wallace's aura of invincibility. He continued to fight on, waging a guerrilla war against the English, but the tide had turned. He was betrayed by Scottish nobles jealous of his power and captured near Glasgow in 1305. Edward I, determined to make an example of Wallace, transported him to London. There he was subjected to a show trial, denied even the basic rights afforded to a prisoner of war. Found guilty of treason, a ludicrous charge given that he had never sworn fealty to the English crown, he was sentenced to be hanged, drawn and quartered, a gruesome spectacle designed to break the spirit of the Scottish people. But Wallace's spirit, much like Scotland itself, proved unbreakable. Even in death he achieved a kind of victory. His public execution, far from crushing Scottish resistance, only served to inflame it. His courage in the face of adversity, his unwavering belief in freedom, turned him into a martyr, a potent symbol of Scottish defiance. Today, William Wallace's story continues to resonate not just in Scotland but throughout the world. His legacy has transcended borders and cultures, becoming a universal symbol of the fight for freedom and justice. He is remembered as a champion of freedom, a symbol of courage against overwhelming odds. His name evokes images of valor and the relentless pursuit of liberty. While Hollywood has taken liberties with his story, romanticizing his life and battles, the true William Wallace, the man behind the legend, is no less compelling. His real-life exploits and the sacrifices he made are stories worth telling. He was a brilliant military strategist whose tactics are still studied by historians and military enthusiasts today. A charismatic leader who inspired ordinary people to extraordinary acts of bravery, Wallace's ability to rally his countrymen was unparalleled. He was a man of the people, fighting not for personal gain but for the freedom of his homeland. His dedication to his cause was unwavering, and his passion for Scotland's independence was infectious. His story is a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one person's courage can make a difference, can inspire generations to come. Wallace's legacy is a testament to the power of individual resolve and collective action. I encourage you to delve deeper into the history books, to explore the rich tapestry of his life and times, to uncover the real William Wallace, a man whose story is as inspiring as it is instructive, a man who, though long gone, still speaks to us across the centuries, reminding us of the enduring power of freedom and the importance of fighting for what we believe in. His life serves as a beacon of hope and a call to action for all who value liberty, reminding us of the enduring power of freedom and the importance of fighting for what we believe in. Wallace's story is not just a chapter in history, but a continuing saga of human spirit and resilience.